Good evening. I'm Byron Scott with a CTV News update. A local lawmaker proposes a measure to grant independence to Maryland's historically black colleges and universities. Delegate Julian Ivey's bill, the Maryland HBCU Independence Act, will grant each institution the ability to create its own board separate from the university system of Maryland.
We're following Morgan State, who already has the autonomy that I'm looking to give to all of the HBCUs, give them all the opportunity to govern themselves. We know that they're more than qualified, more than ready to do just that. And we've also seen that the University System of Maryland Board of Regents has not done right by our HBCUs here in the state of Maryland. That's why we had a $1 billion settlement to go to the HBCUs specifically. It's really important that we allow them to self-govern and give them the autonomy moving forward.
The HBCU settlement was vetoed by Governor Larry Hogan during the last General Assembly session. There are plans to try and override the veto when the legislature reconvenes. Ivey's legislation would affect Bowie State, Coppin State, and the University of Maryland Eastern Shore. Well, the State Board of Education held a special meeting today to determine new requirements for virtual instruction. CTV's Keisha Butts has that story.
The State Board of Education votes to approve new recommendations that require a minimum number of hours for daily instruction. Under the guidelines, schools must have an average of 3.5 hours of online live learning for all grades throughout the day, but hours could vary by each grade for each county. These hours must be implemented by the end of the year. The board says it will work with superintendents and provide technical assistance for the new minimum hours of virtual learning. It also passed a mandate that in the first 9 weeks of the first quarter, districts should reevaluate plans to bring kids back to classrooms. The plans must be submitted to the board by November. Meantime, officials are standing by the legal requirement that schools must be open for 180 days. This is Keisha Butts with CTV News. Back to you.
The Maryland Public Service Commission extends the state's moratorium on electric, gas, and water shutoffs through November 15th. The agency, which regulates utilities, announced the emergency action yesterday. It came only one day before Governor Hogan's executive order prohibiting service terminations and late fees were set to expire. Baltimore Gas and Electric was planning to resume service disconnections next month. Under the new ruling, utilities cannot send termination notices until October 1st, 45 days in advance of a termination. Current regulations require only a 14-day notice. PEPCO, meantime, is urging customers to act now to establish payment arrangements and secure energy assistance. Well, Maryland records 614 new coronavirus cases on this first day of September. The state is now nearing 109,000 confirmed cases. Prince George's still has the highest number with more than 26,000 people testing positive. Currently, 385 people are hospitalized with the virus in the state of Maryland. Well, Progressive Maryland has started running ads on social media calling for leaders in Annapolis to schedule a special session. The ads target Governor Hogan, Senate President Bill Ferguson, and House Speaker Adrian Jones. Progressive Maryland says lawmakers are squandering a chance to address serious challenges, including the economic downturn, the threat of evictions, and utility shutoffs by not meeting before the scheduled 2021 session, which starts in January. Here was a sample of one of those ads.
También colaboramos con el Estado, también hacemos impuestos, necesitamos de su ayuda, por favor. Muchas gracias.
Cancel the rent.
My name is Malcolm Heflin, and I support convening a special session.
My name is Aaron Sayedian, and I'm calling for a special session.
My name is Christiane Marguerite from Baltimore City, and I'm calling for a special session.
Progressive Maryland is one of several advocacy groups calling for a special session. While a former Hogan administration aide is fired for a controversial social media post is defending himself, Arthur Mack Love was fired for a post supporting a teenager accused of killing protesters in Kenosha, Wisconsin. He told a group of supporters yesterday he wasn't given a chance to explain himself and was denied due process. Love, who was deputy director of the Office of Community Initiatives, says he plans to take legal action. The Hogan administration says his posts were divisive and inconsistent with the mission of his job. Well, as the world continues to grieve the death of actor Chadwick Boseman, attention has turned to the dangers of colorectal cancer, the disease that took his life. According to the Colorectal Cancer Alliance, the disease is the third most common cancer in African American men and women. Statistics show that only 1 in 23 men will be diagnosed with colon cancer. For black women, it's 1 in 24. Health experts say the disease is preventable if caught early through proper screening.
The more people that openly talk about colorectal cancer, the more we'll get the word out about screening, the more lives we'll save. And as tragic as, Chadwick's passing is, the outpouring of awareness and support and love, et cetera, is just incredible. And it will save lives. American Cancer Society and the Colorectal Cancer Alliance recommend starting screening at age 45, or if you've had a first-degree relative that has been diagnosed or passed away from the disease, you have to do it 10 years prior. So let's say if my mom was diagnosed at the age of 40, I would need to be starting screening at age 30. And obviously, if you have any pre-existing conditions, Crohn's, colitis, et cetera, you need to be getting screened.
It's also important to know the symptoms of colon cancer. Warning signs include a change in bowel habits, ongoing stomach pains, rectal bleeding, and fatigue. Well, the sports world continues to mourn the death of legendary Georgetown basketball coach John Thompson. He was the first African-American to lead his team to an NCAA championship. Thompson had a 27 years coaching run with Georgetown and was inducted into the Hall of Fame for his accomplishments. Former player Felix Yeoman spoke to us yesterday about his time with Thompson.
On Georgetown's basketball letterhead, his logo was a deflated basketball. And the purpose of that was, what will you do when the air goes out of the ball? What happens when you have to stop playing? So you have to prepare yourself for that moment, academically, through the relationships that you build, how you conduct yourself, and what type of reputation you build as a person, what kind of character you would build.
Thompson was 78 years old. Well, police arrest a man for a fatal shooting in Landover. The suspect is 55-year-old Troy Smith of Palmer Park. Police have charged him with murder in the shooting death of Ronald Henderson of Clinton back on July 18th. The men reportedly got into an argument which prompted police say the shooting. Well, MGM National Harbor lays off nearly 800 employees as part of its workforce reduction for MGM Resorts International. The company is laying off 18,000 previously furloughed workers, or about 25% of the company's pre-pandemic workforce. The Prince George's Resort is keeping a recall list to bring employees back when business improves. Those who return to their jobs by the end of 2021 will retain their seniority and reclaim their benefits. MGM National Harbor reopened at a limited capacity on June 29th. Well, if you have an iPhone or other Apple device, listen up. Starting today, iPhones and Apple devices can be used to pay all Metro fares, including buses. Customers can also reload their smart trip accounts with Apple Pay and the new Metro mobile app. A virtual fare card will replace the physical smart trip cards once a customer chooses to go mobile. The card can be accessed through Apple Wallet. Metro GM Paul Wiedefeld calls it a game changer for customers. For riders who use other devices, an Android version is still under development. Well, police are investigating a fatal pedestrian accident that occurred on Indian Head Highway last night. It happened at around 10:40 near Livingston Road in Fort Washington. Investigators say the female victim was pronounced dead at the scene and that the striking vehicle did remain at the scene of the incident. Well, the number 4 seed in the U.S. Open tennis tournament is sending a message to those watching the tournament. According to the Washington Post, when Naomi Osaka took to the court for her first-round match yesterday, she wore a black face mask bearing the name Breonna Taylor, the black woman who was shot to death by police in March after executing a no-knock warrant. Osaka arrived at the U.S. Open with 7 masks in all, each bearing the name of a victim of violence. Osaka says she will wear a different mask for each round she plays. Osaka's parents are from Japan and Haiti. She grew up mostly in Florida. In other sports, the Washington football team will kick off its 2020 season in less than 2 weeks. Dwayne Haskins, in his second year from Ohio State, is expected to be the starting quarterback. He says he's developing good chemistry with the wide receivers.
Definitely with Dontrell, guy who's played with a lot of veteran quarterbacks before in the past, and he's came in and done a great job as being a veteran in that receiver room. Of course, Terry and Steve, those are my guys, and I think Cam Sims came on strong a lot in the last couple of days at training camp, and hopefully we'll see what happens with these roster decisions. But those guys have made a lot of great connections with me so far. I just think that Ron has done a great job with me, just the attention to detail and self-awareness as trying to be a leader of this football team, and he's done a great job just being very hands-on in my development, and I appreciate him a lot for that. With this new coaching staff, I just wanted to show them how much I love the game, how great of a leader that I want to be, how I can be reliable in situations to make the right plays and essentially get some wins. Just trying to keep proving that and get into a game in a situation where I have to go showcase that, and I'm looking forward to doing it and keep proving it over and over again and be a guy in this area. Like I said, being from here, there's a lot of pride for me, and I'm just excited to keep working and getting this thing rolling.
Washington will kick off the season against the Philadelphia Eagles on September 13th. And that's your CTV News Update. I'm Byron Scott. Good night.
For the latest information on COVID-19 in Maryland, visit the State Health Department website. That's health.maryland.gov. Again, health.maryland.gov. Click the link to the COVID-19 information portal. There you'll find all the latest information about coronavirus. You'll find daily updates on cases and fatalities. Answers to questions about testing and the governor's stay-at-home order are available as well. For specific information about Prince George's, visit princegeorgescountymd.gov. That's princegeorgescountymd.gov. The site offers information about local services for residents and businesses. There's a link for COVID-19 relief donations. Also, food pantry locations are listed. And if you have any questions, call the county COVID-19 hotline at 301-883-6627. That's 301-883-6627.
Here are your AARP top tips on caregiver preparedness during coronavirus. First, form a caregiving team. Create a list of people in your family and friend network who can help with caregiving tasks. Take an inventory of supplies in your loved one's home. Try to have a 2-week supply of essential items. Make a list of the care recipient's medications and medical contacts. Be sure to have prescriptions on hand and ask the pharmacist for an extra 30-day supply. Make a plan to stay connected. To prevent social isolation, set up available technology to help loved ones stay connected and schedule regular chats. Finally, maintain your own self-care. Follow the Centers for Disease Control's guidelines for coronavirus safety. And have a backup plan for care in case you become ill. For more caregiving tips during the coronavirus pandemic, go to aarp.org/caregiving.
I moved to Florida with literally pennies in my pocket and a prayer. I needed a new start. Dacian looks like a very typical 3-year-old until you ask him, "What's your name? How old are you?" My son has a lot of behaviors that would show as being autistic. Most kids can tolerate a variety of foods, but unfortunately for Dacian, everything has to be organic and raw. I wasn't ashamed to go to the food pantries. It's expensive to eat healthy, and nutrition is very important to Dacian's health. The healthy, organic food that we receive dramatically helped his social skills. Most people would say, she really doesn't have much of a life. But to me, I have everything right there next to me and my son.
There was a time in my life where I was extremely homesick. I decided that I needed a pet. When I first saw a turtle, my heart was full. He jumped up and kissed me and jumped right into my arms. I immediately went up to the volunteers at the shelter and said, I want him. He's gotta come home with me. Now I'm anything but lonely. Every day with Turtle is a perfect day and keeps me company when I'm doing schoolwork. I like it when he jumps up on the table too. He is a veggie thief. He's an incredible companion and my best friend. Can't say that I've met anybody that doesn't love him too. When I adopted Turtle, I discovered all the things that make him unique. He's a little bit of a lot of things, but mostly he's all pure love.
It's so sad. It's not.